What's going on, guys? Super Savage 789 here, bringing you guys a video. Today we're doing What If Luffy Became a Marine, Part 3. In the last part, we covered a whole bunch of stuff, so much it'll be hard to cover in a recap. So to cut a long story short, the Straw Hat Marines consist of Luffy, Koby, Helmeppo, Django, and Hachi. If you want to understand the circumstances that led to that, then make sure you watch the last part, as we're just going to pick up from here. With the Straw Hats now finally prepared, I think Luffy would finally decide to set off for the Grand Line. They have a chef to feed them now, and a powerful crew overall. Plus, Hachi has knowledge on the Grand Line and knows how harsh it can be. Hachi tells them that they might not be strong enough as they are now, asking if they want to train some more before they enter. Luffy passes on though, as they'll get stronger there. If they die, they die. It's as simple as that. On their way to the Grand Line, the gang decide to stop off at Logtown to make sure they have enough supplies for the strenuous trip to come. Helmeppo will be trying to get a weapon that would suit him. As a Marine, he needs to be prepared to fight, but he just can't find the right weapon. With Koby, he'd be at a bookstore looking for books on the Marines and their history. He also picks up some martial arts books so that he can read them on the ship and train to become much stronger. For Django, he'd more than likely go to a disco and begin a dance-off with people there. He isn't getting any items, but he doesn't really need to. As for Hachi, he'd be sure to get some food for the long trip ahead. Luffy would still inspect the Pirate King podium, where he eventually gets jumped. Alvida is the first one to attack him, which he manages to avoid. Then Buggy the Clown appears, confusing Luffy as he gets kicked by a broken off leg. These would be the first two devil fruits that he's seen firsthand, so it would definitely be an interesting experience. Finally, out jumps Morgan, who holds a personal vendetta against Luffy, swinging straight at his head, which he barely dodges. As Luffy begins battling, the likes of the rest of his crew arrive. Seeing his father alive shakes Helmeppo as rage flies through his body. Same with Koby seeing Alvida. Both of them rush at their respective people, trying an attempt on attack. While Koby succeeds in hitting Alvida, Helmeppo misses and falls on his face. Morgan takes the chance to swing at him, but Hachi saves him by blocking with 4 swords, and using his remaining hands to throw Helmeppo away. As they fight, they get the attention of Smoker and Tashigi, who are currently nearby. While Tashigi wants to jump into battle, Smoker is curious what these Marines are capable of. Luffy would be swarmed by Buggy's body parts, so he uses Gomu Gomu no Gatling gun to hit every single part of him and do quite some damage. When Buggy reforms himself, Luffy would hit him with a Gomu Gomu no Bazooka, doing a ton of damage to his ribs, leaving him really badly damaged. As he goes to attack again, Django comes in and hypnotizes Buggy to forget how to keep his body apart, making it break apart in several times, uncontrollably, leaving Buggy basically incapacitated on the floor. Over Koby, he'd be trying to fight Alvida, however her body is so slippery that Koby struggles to do so. Luckily enough though, she can't hit him due to him using Soru to avoid her attacks. With his fast body, he surrounds her, getting her so dizzy that she slips over, allowing Koby to kick her straight into a brick wall, knocking her out. As for Morgan, he'd be struggling against Hachi due to his strength and his numerous blades. Hachi would end up blocking Morgan's axes with 4 swords and use the remaining 2 to cut off his hand, severing the axe that he loves so much. Without his weapon, Morgan becomes bloodlusted, leaping at Hachi, but Helmeppo comes in, kicking his father in the face. He then grabs the axe Morgan used, watching as the accessories strip away, leaving just a solid axe. He then leaps at Morgan and slices him across the chest so hard that he passes out, leaving Helmeppo smiling. He finally found his signature weapon. As the fights come to an end, Smoker and Tashigi, along with the men, they command all step out to meet with the Straw Hats. Smoker begins listing the feats of Alvida, Buggy, and Morgan, and states how it's impressive some rookies are capable of defeating them. Just then, Moji and Kabaji make their presence known as they go to attack the Marines. Taking immediate action, Smoker and Tashigi leap at them and immediately take them down, impressing the Straw Hats to no end. Luffy asks them to join his crew, which Smoker scoffs at. Why would he want to join the crew of an amateur? That annoys Luffy as he shouts he isn't an amateur, throwing a Gomu Gomu no pistol at Smoker. When Smoker's body becomes that of smoke, he phases through the punch, telling Luffy that he's outmatched. Smoker and Luffy then begin having a battle, with Luffy severely outmatched. Clearly, Smoker's low gear is too powerful for Luffy, as he can't hit him, but he can definitely be hit. It leaves Luffy with some wounds as he stares at the completely unscathed Smoker. He tells Luffy that if he really wants to go to the Grand Line, he should get stronger. Being this weak won't do him or his crew any good. Luffy takes this as an insult, so he throws another Gomu Gomu no pistol at Smoker. Naturally, it phases through, leaving Smoker getting cocky. He doesn't notice that Luffy's fist ricochets off a wall and punches Smoker clean in the face. It leaves Smoker somewhat impressed at Luffy as he applauds his efforts. He tells Luffy to leave and go try his luck at the Grand Line. Luffy then smiles and leaves alongside his crew. The five of them all continue their adventures where they come across Reverse Mountain. Luffy looks at his crew asking if they are ready to enter the Grand Line. Everyone would say yes to this as Luffy smiles saying good. They then enter Reverse Mountain, managing to barely get to the top with Kobe's basic navigation skills as well as Hachi's skills in the water to help push the ship. When they arrive at the end, they'd still end up running into Laboon and Crocus as well as Vivi and Mr. Nine. He then gets in a fight with Laboon where they all agree to meet again, and so the Straw Hats leave, taking Vivi and Mr. Nine with them. They end up arriving at Whiskey Peak where a party is thrown for everyone, and everyone begins to celebrate. That night, when believing everyone has passed out, Hachi would appear ready to battle. He was a pirate a long time, he can tell when he's being played. All the bounty hunters begin battling Hachi, who would begin dismantling them with ease. It won't be as much of a slaughter as it was with Zoro against the bounty hunters, but it definitely is easy for Hachi. Plus, with the incompetence of the four Baroque Works members there, it'd be even easier for Hachi to beat them. Like normal, Igaram and Vivi would be outed by Miss Valentine and Mr. Five, leading to Igaram begging Hachi to help them. He'd agree to do so as a marine and rushes away to help save Vivi. When Luffy comes to, he won't actually attack Hachi for beating the bounty hunters, as this is a smarter Luffy, as mentioned in part 1. He asks Hachi to explain, who tells Luffy about them being bounty hunters, which he accepts as a feasible answer. Luffy would rush at Mr. Nine and begins fighting against the Explosion Man. He'd be using this as an opportunity to work out and lose the excess fat, where he ends up easily beating him using a Gomu Gomu no Gatling to knock him out. As for Hachi, he'd be fighting Miss Valentine, where she uses her weight control to try and crush him. He merely covers her in ink to make it so she can't see, and then slashes her with all 6 of his blades, knocking her out. After tying them up with nearby rope, they'd go to Vivi and promise her to bring her to Alabasta and stop Crocodile, with only Luffy and Hachi's faces being seen and brought back. Robin would supposedly kill Igaram, leading to everyone rushing away back onto the ship. They then run into Robin, who gives them the Eternal Log Pose, which of course Luffy destroys. Due to her being a pirate, they'd all try to apprehend her, leading to a short scuffle against her. Robin begins demonstrating her strength by using her devil fruits as well as her skills on the rookie marines. When Hachi goes to shoot ink, she creates hands to cover his mouth, filling it with ink, making him vomit. Django tries to hypnotize her, but she rarely removes his sunglasses, making Django get hypnotized himself and fall asleep. As for Helmeppo, he can barely control his axe, leading to him dropping it and ultimately being out of the fight. Ultimately, Robin is untouched as she tells him she'll let them off this time, leaving quite easily. The Straw Hats would have called in what happened at Whiskey Peak, leading to some marines heading there, led by Smoker and Toshigi. When seeing that Luffy and Hachi did all this, they'd be impressed at Straw Hat's strength. Smoker mentions how he clearly isn't as weak as he first thought. After the duo learn everything that went down, Smoker asks Toshigi to go follow the Straw Hats to where they're going to take responsibility for Vivi. She'd agree, and she would head to Little Garden on her own. When the Straw Hats arrive in Little Garden, Luffy, Vivi, and Karu would still head off on an adventure on the island. Hachi would also leave the ship as they need to go stock up on food. This leaves Kobe, Helmeppo, and Django all on the ship. They end up meeting Broggy and giving him rum. The giants end up battling like normal and sharing rum, however there is one key difference. With Mr. Five already in custody, the rum Dory drinks would not have explosions in, meaning that he'd be at full health and not angry. Mr. 3 would end up capturing Hachi, Helmeppo, and Django, leading to Kobe rushing over to Luffy to tell him. Since the rum didn't explode, they have no reason to suspect it was Baroque members, so they'd all begin to look for the dinosaur that ate them. Meanwhile, Toshigi would arrive to witness Mr. 3 capture both the giants in clay, as well as Hachi, Helmeppo, and Django in his candle log. Seeing them like this, that puts her in a dilemma about if she should act or not. Instead, she rushes away to find Luffy. He's their captain, even though he's only a chief petty officer, so it should be his responsibility. She finds the four and tells him about it, making Luffy somewhat annoyed. He asks why she didn't help them, and she doesn't know what to say. She promises to help now, and so they all move to stop them. We'd also get a comedic moment with Django holding out his hypnotism ring, so people know his occupation when he dies. When they all arrive, Luffy would begin fighting Mr. 3, telling the others to go save him. He has a similar fight with him like they did in canon. Toshigi would be trying to help him, and would be doing quite well, since she can slice through the clay. Mr. 3 realizes that while Luffy can break the clay with brute force, Toshigi can't do so. So he covers both of Toshigi's arms, making it so she can't attack. With her now wide open, he goes to slash her, but at the last second, Luffy would leap in the way, taking the attack across the chest, leaving a shallow slash wound. Tashigi realizes the true extent to Luffy's personality in this moment. With Kobe, he'd be tasked with fighting Miss Golden Week in an extremely interesting battle. He'd at first just ask her to surrender, but she'd end up painting the colour black on his back, leaving him to betray his friends. Vivi tries to trick him to do the opposite thing, however it's much harder to do it on his back. So Django makes one comment to Kobe to make him win. Don't look at my hypnotic blade, and you will see colour after I say one to Django. Naturally, Kobe does the opposite, meaning he can no longer see colour, leading to Kobe being immune to Miss Golden Week's attacks. Using Soru, he rushes at her and knocks her out with a speedy combo. Luffy would break Tashigi free and tells her to go free the others, which she agrees to. She'd run over to the clay and begin slicing it up. Ultimately, Luffy figures out fire is a weakness and drags Mr. 3 over to free them. Then when Mr. 3 tries to make his escape, Luffy uses Conqueror Haki to knock him out. After tying up the two Baroque work members, Tashigi would go up to Luffy to thank him for his help. She asks him if he wants to come back to base to get healed up, but he says nah. Right now, helping Vivi is his top priority. Tashigi means to further warm up to Luffy, as she'd head back to meet up with Smoker. And the Straw Hats would head off to stop the rebellion in Alabasta. And that's all over here. If you'd like to subscribe and comment below, I'll in the next part. As you can see, there were no videos this week other than today. I'm very sorry for that. School's starting up, and videos will be once a week from now on. Until further notice, or until I can get a better schedule. I'm really sorry about that, but I hope you guys stick with me through that rough time. And yeah, bye!